Have you noticed it? I mean, really noticed it? There's this quiet exodus happening all around us. It's not loud, it's not on the news, it's a silent retreat. And it seems to be happening to a very particular kind of person.
The most conscious, the most psychologically awake people we know, they're quietly stepping back. They're ghosting their careers, simplifying their relationships, deleting their social media. They're choosing solitude over the nonstop static of modern life. So what is going on here? Why are the very people who seem the most tuned in choosing to tune out? And maybe more importantly, if you've ever felt this pull yourself, this deep urge to just disappear, then you're going to want to stick around for this.
You know, this isn't some new age trend. Turns out the psychologist Carl Jung had a name for it decades ago. He called it the necessary withdrawal. And he didn't see it as being antisocial or trying to escape. He saw it as a survival mechanism. It's what happens when your own awareness gets so sharp that just being in the world, with all its unconscious noise, becomes genuinely, even physically painful.
Okay, so what makes it so painful? Jung believed this burden of consciousness really boils down to 3 core reasons. Let's dive into the first one.
First up, seeing the collective shadow. See, as you do the inner work to face your own darkness, your own shadow, a funny thing happens. You start to see society's unacknowledged shadow everywhere. You realize our politics, our social media outrage, so much of it is just one big unconscious projection of everyone's inner junk. And once you see the machine, you can't unsee it.
This shift is huge. One of Jung's students put it perfectly. They said they used to be super political, but after doing their shadow work, all they could see were 2 groups just violently projecting their unconscious stuff at each other. Now, when you see that both sides are basically just fighting their own reflection, how can you possibly pick a team? It makes wanting to participate feel kind of crazy.
The second reason is this growing, painful gap between your authentic self and the persona you're supposed to wear for society. Look, we all play roles, right? The good worker, the fun friend, and that's fine, until it isn't. Once you've tasted what it feels like to be your real self, putting on those old masks feels suffocating. It honestly feels like a kind of psychological death.
And that brings us to the third reason. And honestly, this one might be the most draining of all.
Jung called it psychological labor. It's all that invisible work you have to do just to exist in unconscious spaces. It's the constant filtering of your thoughts, the translating of your depth into small talk, the biting your tongue, and man, it is absolutely exhausting. Someone described it like trying to swim upstream in a tsunami. How long can you fight that? Eventually, you realize getting out of the water isn't an act of weakness, it's an act of survival. You're not just tired anymore, you're completely depleted.
So, this all might sound a little bleak, but here's the crucial twist. This withdrawal isn't an ending. It's not a failure. It's a pivotal stage in a much bigger, much older story, an archetypal journey inward.
Think of it as the hermit's journey. It follows this classic path. First, you pull back, not to hide, but to protect that new, fragile flame of consciousness. Then, in that quiet, you can finally integrate everything. You can cultivate real wisdom that you just can't find in all the noise. And you prepare. You prepare for a very different kind of return. And let's be really clear on this. This stage has nothing to do with hating people. It is a psychological necessity. You need to create some space from all the old roles and expectations to let your authentic self finally breathe and become strong.
But here's the thing about the hermit. The story never ends with them alone in the cave. That's not the point. The journey always includes a return. But it's a return with a serious plot twist.
The person who emerges from this withdrawal, they don't just slot back into their old 9-to-5. They can't. It wouldn't fit anymore. Instead, they find new ways to contribute from the edges of society. They operate in the margins, the spaces where real, authentic consciousness can actually thrive. They become the artists creating from a deep well of truth, the healers working one-on-one with people who are ready, the teachers who share real wisdom with small, dedicated circles. They write the maps for other seekers. In short, they provide the depth in a world that's become obsessed with the surface. So let's bring this all home. What does this whole Jungian idea mean for you, right now? Especially if you're the one feeling that pull to disappear. First, and this is the most important thing I can tell you, that feeling does not mean there's something wrong with you, you're not antisocial, you're not failing at life. What you're feeling is archetypal. It's an ancient, deep,
and necessary part of the human journey toward becoming whole. You're not lost. You're actually walking a path that countless pioneers of consciousness have walked before you.
So let's end on this thought. Your disappearance isn't an abandonment of the world. It's a sacred act of preparation. In your solitude, you're forging the very consciousness and wisdom that the collective so desperately needs, even if it has no idea. You aren't leaving the world behind. You are scouting out the path for where it needs to go next.